Hi guys, thanks for watching. Here we're going to go through rule number 2 and rule number 3 for living a lean life. So in number 1 we looked at sugar, okay, and cutting back on sugar and why that's important. Here we're going to talk about, instead of cutting something back and trying to decrease something, we're going to talk about adding in something. So we're going to talk about adding in more green leafy vegetables. So why more green leafy vegetables? You all know they're good for you. Most people aren't getting enough. Green leafy vegetables are the most nutrient-dense food around. That means there's more nutrition for each single calorie of energy in green leafy vegetables than any other food. So if you're trying to lose fat, or weight as well, this should be your go-to. Nutrients for low calories. So they've got a heap of vitamins and minerals in them. Vitamins A, B, C, E, K, and lots of minerals that we need. Calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, iron. All these things are essential for our immunity and for, feeling good. So the ways that I suggest you get more greens in, the way that I like to do it is to look at your plate portions. So start filling up your plate with half to 2/3 of green leafy vegetables. If you don't currently eat any green leafy vegetables, experiment. Okay? There's kale, there's spinach, there's different types of lettuce, there's watercress, there's Chinese greens like pak choi, bok choy. There's a heap of different greens, and they all have different vitamins and minerals. The best ones are the really dark ones, okay? So, like your spinach, like your kale, your broccoli. There's not so much in your lettuces. And experiment also, not just with different greens, but experiment with how you eat them. So sometimes you might like them raw. Some of these vegetables are more suited raw. Sometimes you might like to steam them lightly, just in some hot water. Sometimes you might like to fry them in a good healthy oil. So play around, but know that the more greens you're getting, the more nutrients you're getting. Okay, and this will really reflect in how you look. So that's fundamental rule number 2. Fill up your plate with more greens. Number 3 is one that you might not expect. So wait for it. Coffee beans. The title says, but it's low calorie. So here, it's not about the calories that are in coffee. Even if you have your coffee with milk, obviously there's some calories there and some sugar in the milk. But the main reason why I want you to look at your coffee and your caffeine intake is the effect that it has on our central nervous system. So I'll tell you a little story first of all. I used to have probably 3 double shot coffees per day. One when I woke up at sort of 5 a.m. before I went to train clients. One before, when would it be? Probably mid-morning, 11 o'clock. And then one before I trained at about 3 o'clock. Throughout this time, I was sleeping really badly. So it was a vicious cycle. I would sleep bad, and the next day I'd need more coffee, or felt like I needed more coffee. But little did I know that the coffee was affecting my sleep and my recovery of my training so much. So I wasn't recovering well. I wasn't therefore training to the best of my potential. Therefore, I wasn't getting the results that I really wanted in the gym and expected. So the reason that I want you to cut back on caffeine and first of all have a look at your caffeine intake and then think about cutting back, is yes, it'll affect your recovery. So why does it affect your recovery? So what happens with our central nervous system is we basically have two strands. We've got our strand that is on when we're fighting or we're in fright mode. This is called our sympathetic nervous system. Our other nervous system is called our parasympathetic nervous system. So this is what's on if we're resting and digesting. So we just go back between the two. Ideally, we want to spend most of our time in the parasympathetic nervous system, as this is where all your recovery happens and your hormonal balance is working in your favor in terms of fat loss and staying lean. So if you're already working a high-powered job or working lots of hours, or you have outside stresses of family, girlfriend, kids, if you're just really busy and you're always on the go, if you train really heavy, train often with heavy sort of exercise, it's very likely that you're going to be sympathetic nervous system dominant. So that means you're always a little bit on the edge, basically. When we have coffee, okay, this means we produce adrenaline. Adrenaline means that we go into sympathetic nervous system. So the more coffee you have, the more time you're most likely going to be spending in the sympathetic nervous system. When we spend too much time in the sympathetic nervous system, not only are we not sleeping well and therefore not recovering, our cortisol level, which is our stress hormone, starts to increase. When this starts to increase and gets out of sync with our circadian rhythm, we basically start holding on to fat. We start holding on to fat around our belly, and we start storing more fat because our body thinks that we're in starvation mode. It's so stressed that we're not sleeping, that it thinks we're out in the woods still hunting for food. So it holds on to everything that we have. So that's why I really encourage you to look at what you're drinking, perhaps what you're eating. Look at the caffeine content. I've gone back to having just one strong coffee now in the mornings, and it seems to work perfect for me. It took me a long time to really get the right balance. If I do have an extra coffee, because I do like the taste and obviously the social occasion, I'll normally just have a decaffeinated coffee, and you still get the taste, but without so much caffeine. So yeah, I invite you to look at your caffeine intake, and if you're drinking more than 1 cup per day, look at cutting that back and seeing what effect it has on your recovery, but also in the long term on your body fat levels. So that's lesson 2, guys, is increasing greens and looking at caffeine intake and cutting back if need be. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.